So in this video, we will be making this beautiful summer hat. And I will give you the link for the video for this flower. There's already a video for it, and it will be in the description below. So without further ado, let's make this hat. Okay, so we're going to start the hat by making what's called a magic ring. All right, and so what you want to do is take the tail of your yarn, and you can do 2 fingers or 3 fingers, it really doesn't matter. I leave about a 5-inch or 6-inch tail. You're going to wrap it around your fingers, and there are a lot of other videos on this. If you need another video, you're going to cross it over like that, okay? Then we're going to go in with our hook underneath here, grab this one, twist it around, and then I want you to chain 1. And this may require moving your fingers a little bit. There we go. And we have a magic ring. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to close it up nice and tight. So by pulling this string, we're going to be able to close it up. Okay. Other videos on magic ring if you want to look at them. Okay, so now we're going to put 10 half double crochets into this magic ring. I keep saying magic loop. Magic loop is knitting. Okay, so once again, I show how to do this in another video, how I tension my yarn. So a half double crochet, you're going to grab your yarn, go through the magic ring, grab your yarn again, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. Grab your yarn, pull through all 3 loops. Okay. Hard to do on camera. Make sure I don't, oops, I've got a little piece of fiber there. Okay. All right, once again, grab the yarn into the magic ring. Grab your yarn again, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook. Grab your yarn, pull through all 3 loops. It'll be tight until you get your first, until you get all 10 of these done. You'll just have to bear with it. Okay. Grab your yarn, go into the magic loop. All right, this is the 3rd half double crochet. Okay. And so you're going to go ahead and put 10 half double crochets in this loop. You're not going to chain or anything in between. We're just doing half double crochet one after the other into this magic ring. Okay, so do 10 half double crochets and then meet me back here when you're done. Okay, so I put 10 half double crochets into the magic ring, and the reason why we made it into a magic ring is so we can pull this and tighten it all up. This is what's nice about the magic ring. So I have cinched up the magic ring pretty tightly, okay? So you can see it has a nice tight center so that you don't end up with a big hole in your hat. Super easy to do. By the way, it's May 21st, 2019. And I will just show you outside my window here. We had snow all day yesterday and into the night last night. Okay, count these here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. So instead of joining, so if you're new to crochet, a lot of times what is standard is to put a slip stitch in this very first stitch, chain up, and then start another row. That creates a seam that I think is not attractive. So I work in a spiral. So I use these little stitch markers. You can get them at Michael's, Joann's. You can order them on Amazon. They're nice because they lock. So I can lock them and they're not going to fall out. Okay. So right off the bat, So what we're going to do now is we're going to put 2 half double crochets in each one of these stitches. So this is the very first stitch. So see this V right here? We're going to go under both of the loops in the V, just like that, going under both of those loops, okay? That's where you're going to go under for your first half double crochet. So once again, I'm going to yarn over, go into this stitch, pull up a loop, oops, same stitch we're doing. The first one might be tight. Oops. If that happens, the first ones are going to be kind of tight. Just pull it back into alignment, okay? So this is my first stitch of the next round right here, okay? Sorry, when I don't hold this close, the camera tries to focus on something else in the background. Okay, so I'm going to put my stitch marker right there on that very first stitch. Okay, okay, we're going to do one more in that very stitch. My coffee so it doesn't try to focus on that. I'm going to yarn over. And go right into that same stitch. Pull up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay. All right. So then if you look at the next V stitch, we're going to yarn over and we're going to go right into that stitch. Pull up a loop. Once you get your first one done, it goes a lot easier. All right, I'm going to try to fix this fuzziness. I think it tries to focus on that lace back there. Okay, and see where you went into that stitch right there. Yarn over, go into that stitch again, pull up a loop, draw through all 3 loops. Oops. Okay. All right, we're going to do that in each stitch around. So at the end of this round, you should have 20 stitches because we're going to do 2 in each of the original 10 that we did. Okay, so I'm down to my last stitch. So I have one more stitch to put 2 into. And so we're going to count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, and this is 18 because this is my first stitch. So if I do 2 more stitches, I will have 20. So you always want to count just to make sure. And see when your hole gets too open, you can pull it tight. And then at the end, we're going to sew it around here so it doesn't come open again. Okay. So I'm just going to do my last 2 stitches in here. Okay, so now I'm back to the very first stitch I made of round 2. Okay, for round 3, we are going to do 1 half double crochet in the first stitch, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, 2 in the next. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm going to take this stitch marker out till I get my first stitch in that space. Okay. So I'm going to do 1 half double crochet in here. Okay, and now this is my first stitch of round 3. So I'm going to put my stitch marker, oops, right there. There we go. Okay, now on the next V, this one right here, we're going to put 2. Yarn over. Oops. There's 1, 2. Okay. 1 in the next. 2 in the next. One, 2, 1 in the next, 2 in the next. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way around, and at the end of this round you will have 30 stitches. Okay. Okay, meet me back up when you get done. I counted and I have 30 stitches. Okay, so the next round we're doing increases. It goes 2 in every one, then 1 in the first, 2 in the second. Now we're going to do 1, 1, and 2. So 1 half double crochet in one stitch, 1 half double crochet in the second, and then 2 in the third. Okay. So we're just going to keep expanding. So each time I take my marker out until I make my first stitch. So we're going to do 1, 1, and 2, which is how I like to remember it. Okay. So we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the first one, and place our marker back into that stitch, the first stitch. Okay. It's kind of a pain when your circle's small. It's not too bad. Okay. So there's our first half double crochet, 1 half double crochet in the second. Okay. And 2 in the third. So 1, 2. Really hard to crochet on camera. All right, again, 1, 1 in the next one, 2 in the next. 1, 2. Okay. All right, 1, 1, and 2, and meet me back around, and at the end of this round you should have 40 stitches. Okay, this is my last 2 stitches. Okay, so that is the end of round 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. And you should have 42. Okay, so now, so that time we did 1, 1, and 2. So for round 5, we're going to do 1, 1, 1, and 2. So 3 stitches will have 1 half double crochet. 4th stitch will have 2. Okay, remove my stitch marker. Okay, so my first stitch, 1 half double crochet. Okay, replace my stitch marker. Okay, and off we go. So 1 in the first, 1 in the second. Oops. 1 in the third, and 2 in the fourth. Okay, 1 and 2. Okay, so 1, 1, 1, and 2, you're going to repeat that all the way around, and you should have 50 stitches. Okay, so I got to the end of round number 5 with 50 stitches. Pretty easy to remember. Round 5, 50. We're going to do another row of increases, taking us up to 60 stitches. Okay, so this time, last time we did half double crochet in 3 stitches, then 2 in the next stitch. So this time we're going to half double crochet in the first 4 stitches and then 2 in the 5th one. All right, so again, we'll start with 1 stitch here, 1 half double crochet, and I'll place my stitch marker. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the 5th stitch we're going to make 2 half double crochet, 1 and 2, going into that same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 in the 5th stitch. There's 1 and 1 more in that same stitch, 2. Okay, so 1 in the next 4 stitches, 2 in the 5th stitch. At the end you should have 60, and meet me back up. Okay, I finished round 6, okay, and I have 60 stitches, so just count, make sure you have 60 stitches. So for my hats, I have about a 23-inch head circumference. Those of you that are on metric will have to, what is that going to be? Hold on. So metric, it's around 59 centimeters is about what my head circumference is. So I make hats to fit about a 22 to 23-inch head. By doing that, I have found, because I've made a lot of hats that were way too big, that at the end of my increases, my diameter here needs to be anywhere from 5 1/4 to probably up to 6. I like mine 5 1/4 to 5 1/2-ish. So this is 5 1/4. If yours is way bigger than 6 inches, then you may want to remove 1 round of increases. If you're a super tight crocheter and it's less than 5 1/4, then you may want to try 1 size larger of a hook. So 5.5 hook would probably take you up. So you can increase or decrease the size of your hook, or add or remove another round of increases. But this is what works for me. So from here on out, we are just going to do 1 half double crochet in every stitch. So we have a total of 60, and we're going to continue that. So you need to continue and make another 10 rows from this row, or a total of 16 from when you started. So we need a total of 16 rows before we start the hat band. There are row counting apps for your phone that are free. I use a pitch counter. If you have someone in your house that plays baseball or softball and you happen to have a pitch counter around, you can also use that. Or you can buy one of the little fancy ones that you can put on your finger from the craft stores. All right, so we're just going to do 1 half double crochet in every stitch around for 10 more rows. Okay, so replace my stitch marker and do this every round. Okay, and then we're just going to do 1 half double crochet in every stitch around. Just make sure you're not skipping any stitches. Okay, so just 1 half double crochet in every stitch around from here on out. You're done with your increases, and do another 10 rows, or a total of 16 rows. Okay, another 10 rows after this one, and then meet me back and we will start on the band. Okay, so I've finished. I'm on my 16th row, okay, and I'm on my last few stitches, and I'm going to show you a little trick. So see how when we work in a spiral, we end up with this side higher than that because we're not joining each round? So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this back into a little bit of an alignment before we start our band color. Okay, if you're changing colors. If you're not changing colors, don't. If you're not changing colors, you really don't have to do this. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3 stitches left, okay, to do. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do 1/2 double crochet in this stitch, okay, and then to make this one smaller, I'm going to do just a single crochet in this one. So you don't yarn over, you just go in, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, bring the yarn through. Then for the last stitch, I'm going to slip stitch into this one. Pull through there, pull through there. So see how that's going to bring it back into a little bit of an alignment. So instead of it being really tall on this side, you're going to be a lot more in alignment. Okay, so now if you're changing band colors, we're going to get our new color of yarn. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and this is Impeccable, and the color is called Heather. Now I always think of heather as being a gray color, not a beige color, but that's what they call it because this is really close to this color, and since I had that color a couple of rows back, I think the band will look really good in this color. Okay, alrighty, so stitch marker comes out for the first stitch. Now we're going to do a single crochet in every stitch, okay? Also, I'm going to, since we're going to do about 5 rows in the band color, I'm going to go ahead and cut my original main color yarn there because we're going to weave these in as we go. Okay. Starting with a single crochet. Okay, this is my last stitch. I'm going to go into this next stitch. Okay, this will focus. And I'm going to start my new color. Here's my tail over here. Okay, and I'm going to pull this color through like so. Okay. So now there's my old color, my new color, and I'm going to pull it through like so. Okay, so once we have joined our new color and we've cut our old color, what's nice about crochet is you can weave in the ends as you go, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to hold our come on, camera. Why does it want to focus on everything except what I'm focusing on? It wants to focus on the back of this hat instead of what I'm working on. Okay. We're going to hold these. Hang on. I'm going to get my working yarn tensioned, and then we're going to hold these 2 strands of our other yarn to the back of our work. Okay. So now we're going to, let me put my stitch marker in here. That's either the last stitch or the first stitch, depending on how you look at it. It's actually the first, since we pulled the new color through there. So I'm going to mark that one. Okay, we're going to hold these 2 to the back. And now we're going to single crochet. So we're not yarning over, and I'm going to crochet underneath both of these strands of yarn. Okay, so I've got, hold on, my working yarn, and I went in here. I'm going to grab my yarn and see how I'm going to pull it through, and it's going to trap those, it's going to trap those threads into the back. Okay, and then I'm going to pull through one more time. Okay, all right, again I'm going to go into the next stitch. Make sure I'm going underneath both of these tails. Okay, I'm going to grab my loop, pull it through, trapping those tails, but somehow I'm getting other stuff. There we go. And then pull through 2. Okay, one more time. Going through here. Okay, so now, I'll turn this over. You can see how this is trapping these tails as you go along, okay? So as you go along right here, it's trapping your tails in those stitches, okay? Look at it from this side. All right, so see how you're going along and you're just making sure that you get these tails. You don't have to do it for a terribly long time. I don't know. I just do it until I know that they're not going to come out. So, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 stitches or so should be good. So then we're going to make 5 total rounds of single crochet for the band. Okay, so you're going to do 5 rounds of the single crochet, and then you'll meet me back and we will finish off the brim for this hat. Okay, so keep trapping your tails until you get about 10 or 12 stitches, and keep working in a spiral pattern, and do 5 rows of whatever your band color is you're using, and meet me back. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my 5th round, and you will see, you can see right here, because we're working in a spiral, there is going to be a little bit of a jog. It's not that noticeable if you're using an ombre or variegated yarn. You can see on this one, I think it's right here, you're going to see just a little bit of a difference, but that's why I like to use a solid color and then an ombre color, because it hides it a little bit better. Okay, so now we are done with the band, and we're going to join our main color again. So what I'm going to do, I already cut my tail here. I'm going to go into, hold on, get this closer. Go into the next stitch. Okay, sure that's the next stitch. To the next stitch, and I'm going to pull up my new color. Okay, a slip stitch like so. Okay, all right, we're going to tighten that down. Now we're going to, oops, I got way too much of a tail there, sorry. We're going to do the same thing as far as we're going to trap these tails behind our work again. Okay, so we're going to trap these tails behind our work as we work. So this time I'm not going to work in a spiral anymore. So here's what we're going to do, because it's just going to be a couple of rows and you won't be able to see it. It won't be noticeable. We're going to chain 1. Okay, chain 1. Then I'm going to we're going to do half double crochets again. And I'm going to go back into this same stitch right here. Okay, I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go right back into the same stitch. And I've got my tails on the back side. Pull up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, and pull through all 3. First one might be a little tight, okay? So that is our first stitch. So this one, since we're not going to be in a spiral, you'll be able to see it a little bit better, but I'll go ahead and mark right here. Okay, so now we're going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. Then on this round, we will join with the last round. Okay, oops, want to trap my tails back here. So you want to make sure, when I go into this stitch, okay, I'm going to yarn over. When I go into this stitch that I have both of my tails right here. See that? Pull through one, pull through all three. Oops. Okay. So this first row, we're not doing any increases. We will do increases on the second row. So remember, just about 10 or so stitches, and then if your tails are longer than 10 stitches, you can just cut your yarn. Okay, going in here and half double crochet. So half double crochet in each stitch around and meet me back, and we will join up this round. Okay, so now on this row we are going to join. So I don't want to join to this chain one. So see how I had a chain one here? I want to join to the very top of the very first stitch, and you don't really need a stitch marker because you can see that there's a chain one, and this should be the top of the stitch right here. Okay, make sure I'm only going through those 2 loops, and then here, pull through here and make sure it's nice and snug. All right. Okay, so we're going to chain up 1 again. Okay, and now we're going right back into this same stitch right here. So the same stitch we just went into, we're going to do again. Right. Okay, so we're not going to do spirals. We're going to join each round on this round. So I've done the first row of half double crochets. Now I'm going to do an increase round. So for this round, we're going to do 2 stitches in each, 2 half double crochets in each stitch around. So I did a chain 1, and then I did 1 half double crochet. I'm going to do 1 more half double crochet in the same stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the next stitch, and I'm going to do 2 half double crochets in this next stitch. So there's 1, then I'm going to go back into that same stitch and 2. Okay, so we have 60 stitches. We're going to do 2 in every stitch around, which will bring us to 120 stitches. Okay, so I finished my increased round, and remember, we're not doing a spiral, so I will join into my first stitch here. Let's take the stitch marker out. Okay, and I will join with a slip stitch into my first stitch. Okay, oops. And then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go back into the same stitch that I just went into, and I'm going to do a half double crochet into that same stitch. Okay, and now we're just going to do 1 in each stitch around. Okay, so 1 half double crochet in each stitch around, and then you can make your brim whatever length you want it to be. So I'm just going to do another round and see what it looks like after the second round, and you can decide whether you want to do 2, 3, or 4 rounds. I wouldn't think you'd want to do more than 3 or 4. So anyway, do your second round, and when you decide what length you want, we're going to do 1 row of single crochet and 1 row of slip stitch. So I have done a brim that for me is going to be long enough. If you want yours a little bit longer, feel free to make another row of half double crochet. But remember, we are going to be adding 1 row of single crochet and 1 slip stitch row. So what I have here is, this is my first row of half double crochet with no increases. This is my increase row, and I did 2 rows in addition to my increase row, which makes 1, 2, 3, 4 rows total. So on my brim, you see I don't have a terrible seam here. It looks pretty good here where I joined. And I'm not going to work in the round either. So this way it will be a lot more even. So this is my first stitch that I just slip stitched into. And I'm going to change my colors. And the only reason I'm changing color, you don't have to, and I did not do it the first time I did this hat, and then I frogged it because I did not like the brim, and I redid the brim. And so since I frogged it, I did not have a lot of yarn left anyway. So this is not a color that's necessarily going to pop like the purple one that you saw that I did, but that's okay. All right. So actually, I'm going to take out my slip stitch since I'm changing color. If you're not changing color, you don't have to do this. I'm going to go into my stitch, and I'm going to grab my new color and pull it through. Boop. And through. Okay, now we're ready to begin. So here we're going to do exactly the same as far as weaving our tails as we go. I can cut this one a little shorter. Okay. So once again, remember you're going to keep your tails to the back of your work, separate from your working yarn. Okay. All right, so I went into this stitch right here, and I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go back into the same stitch and do a single crochet. So you're just going to grab a loop and pull through. And while I really don't need to mark since I'm not working in a spiral, I will anyway, just because I like always marking my first stitch so that I know where I'm going into next. Okay, so once again, you just want to hold your tails to the back of your work, go in underneath those tails, pull up a loop, and pull through. Again, underneath those tails, trap them behind that stitch, and pull through. Okay, so you're going to trap your tails in each one of these stitches. And that's all there is to it. And we're going to single crochet back and join into this stitch, and then we'll do one last row of slip stitches. I finished my row of single crochet, and now I'm simply going to slip stitch in every stitch around. So you are just going to go into this stitch here, and then I'm going to mark that stitch again, just because it starts to look similar. So I want to know, need to know where I started and where to end. So all you will do from this point on, go under both loops, pull up a loop, and do a slip stitch. That's it. Try to keep it as tight as you can. Keep good tension so that you have a nice finished edge, and this will give it a nice clean finish. And then when you get back around to your last stitch, I will show you how you can do an invisible finish so that you don't have a weird lump or something like that. It's really cool. It's from Creation Crochet, and I will put a link in the description below. So that was our first stitch. This is our last stitch that we're going to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this stitch. And then we're not going to join to this one. We're going to cut our tail, and we're going to leave a pretty good tail, at least, I don't know. I leave a good long tail, so, because you can always cut your yarn, but you can't add, it's hard to add if you don't do the right thing. All right, and then you're going to pull your tail all the way through, okay? So pull it up and through. Now you are going to need a tapestry needle for this next part. All right, so I have threaded my tapestry needle. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and take this out. We don't really need this. Okay, so we are here. We're going to put this into the second stitch from wherever we are. So we're here. This is 1, this is 2. And we're going to put this underneath both loops of the stitch. Okay, we're going to come up like this underneath both. Sorry, we're going to come up. So there's 2 stitches since the last one. We're going to come up like this, and then we're going to stitch into the top of the last stitch we completed and go in between the loops. So we're going to go back into the last stitch that we completed, which is here, and go in between the 2 loops, and I'm going to go into the back, okay, of this. All right, and see how that makes a nice little V? How cool is that? That's so cool. I just love this. Sorry, it gets me excited. And then you don't have an ugly, unsightly finish. You do, however, have to weave in your tails back here. And I just try to, I'm not going to go into a whole weaving in tails. There are a lot of videos out there on weaving in tails, but I just try to weave them into the stitches. I'm not going to do this on camera because it's too difficult. But just kind of weave them around these stitches that are already here and kind of go through here. So try to make your, weave in your tails and kind of go the same direction as your stitches, or weave them through stitches that won't be visible on the other side, okay? Then you will need to go back, I'll take this out, and weave around your magic loop tail, okay? So all I do here is I just keep going the direction that the yarn, whatever direction the yarn's coming from. I'm just going to go ahead and weave in my tail through here. I had another little piece of yarn that was sticking out, and so I pulled it through the back. It'll never be noticed. And just make sure that, you know, you weave it in, you weave it all the way around a couple of times so that it doesn't come undone, because magic rings, you need to make sure you pull them tight, see, so that you don't even see it on the top of the hat. Okay, so for your choice of flowers, you can do something like this. This is called, I think this is the Ruffle Flower. This is by Crystal at Bag O' Day Crochet. I'm going to put the link down below in the description. You can also put a button in here, like a little blingy button. I just haven't purchased anything that I think will go with that hat. This is a written pattern, but it's really easy. This is also, if you go to my Ravelry page and you look up this hat, Summer of Joy Sun Hat, it is the flower that is with the original pattern link. So if you want to do something big and flashy like this, you can do this. It's a written pattern. This is a written pattern. It's on Ravelry, and all the links will be in the description. Super easy. This is just a popcorn stitch, and then you just make the back of the flower. Okay. So this flower is also a video tutorial by Crystal at Bag O' Day Crochet, and it is called How to Crochet Easy Flower Tutorial number 217, and I will put the link in the description below.